If you want to take a look at the future, how will you do it? If you had a crystal ball, what would you ask it? Would you like to know about business tips? Or perhaps you would like to know how to make money or how to find love to a life? How about if there was a machine that you could ask for your fortune, would you give it a coin? Perhaps you will ask cards what the future will be like. And at least, if you find a four-leaved clover, that means you will have good fortune. We have so many ways we want to ask and know about the future. But unfortunately, I cannot help you with these. I cannot give you predictions. What I can give you is a brief introduction to Foresight methods. But I also promise that in the end of this training, I will tell you where the future is heading to. My name is Irina Kujanpää, and I'm working as a strategic designer in Finland, in my own company called Triada Creative. So, what are we actually talking about when we are talking about the future? The future is always based on our own viewpoints. We have just one viewpoint for everyone. It is from our own eyes forward. Behind us, we have our past and all our beliefs and other things that affect to our perspective. Then we hear something, perhaps we talk to a friend who tells us something new, and it shifts our perspective to some new kind of aspect of future. Or we hear something in the news and shift our thinking again. We might be doing something ourselves that affect our future greatly. There are multiple ways how we make assumptions about the future, but in the end, only when we are living the future, we will know what it will be like. And even then, at that point, when we know what the future became, there still are dices in the air, and we do not know what the tomorrow will be like. There are changes happening all the time, and that is what makes the future always intriguing. With this training, we will go through 3 different foresight methods. First one is called PESTEL analysis, and it is about what all kind of different aspects are affecting the future. Taking a look at those aspects. With scenarios, we are looking at multiple different futures and what they might look like. And the futures wheel, that's actually a really great tool to help you make decisions. So let's look better at the PESTEL analysis. You might know this also as STEEP analysis or PESTI analysis. The L is sometimes left out. But what we are looking for is 6 different factors through which we can look at what might be coming for us in the future. First, there are political factors. They could be local or global factors that we are looking for. They all affect us anyways. Political factors are about who is in charge, what is happening politically. Are there elevations coming? How will they shift our political factors and what might be coming? Economical factors are about our economical well-being. What new things are happening economically and what could be happening? Social factors are about us humans. How are we behaving? What are we thinking? What kind of thoughts do we have? Is there going to be changes in them? Technological factors are about innovations and the ways we use technologies. And then environmental factors, very interesting also. What is happening in the nature, but also how are we having a relationship with our nature. And if there is some kind of regulations or something that affect our environmental things. Even our thoughts, what are we thinking? Are we still flying if it's bad for the nature? Legal factors are about laws. What new laws will be, how will they affect our business or our lives, and what we should think about them. With PESTEL analysis, we try to find, first of all, megatrends that are happening. Megatrends are something affecting us globally. Everybody knows about them and thinks and have something to say about them. Global warming is very well-known example of this. Global warming is debated if it's actually happening or not, but it doesn't matter. It is still affecting us. It is affecting our decisions. How are we doing things like the flying? Are we still willing to fly if it's not good for the nature? So megatrends are something that we have to know. We have to know how it affects us and our businesses. Then there are trends. Trends are smaller, but still affecting multiple people. They are something that we can clearly see, but we are not quite sure how long they will affect us and where will they go. So one example of trends is work going remote. At the moment, with Corona times, we have probably as many people working remotely as possible throughout the world. But what about after these times? What will happen then? Will we still choose that we want to work remotely? Will it affect our ways to work afterwards these times? And what will happen then? After megatrends and trends, there are also weak signals. Weak signals are something that are not so clear. We might see something new happening, but we cannot really name what is happening. We might take something from the news or just hear about somebody doing something differently. These could be weak signals of changes. One example is that what we are actually in Finland debating about at the moment. Should people be better able to live in multiple locations, in multiple cities? Part of the Finland is closed, and you cannot, for example, go to your cottage if it's outside this area. But people are used to living even half a year in another place than their home. So they are using this another city's services, but they are not paying tax there. Should they be? Should it be possible to have living places in multiple locations? This is something that has just arisen to conversations, so it is still a weak signal. It could become a trend, but we don't know yet where it's going. And then there are also wildcards. Wildcards are something that we are not expecting. They are not on our analysis normally, but it's something that, well, it just comes. Like COVID-19. We weren't prepared for this one. Not at all. So it was a wild card. It came out of nowhere, but it is very much affecting our lives at the moment. So with PESTEL analysis, you collect all these different kind of factors together and make assumptions what might happen and what will we do if it happens. How will we be prepared? You may also use probabilities to in your analysis. Is it highly likely to happen, moderately likely, or is it unlikely to happen? So if we change these factors to new places around their likeliness, well, the COVID-19 was very unlikely. Some people did, even years ago, talk about that there will be pandemics, but no country was prepared enough for this. Not even Finland, even if they say that we were quite well prepared, not at this level. It was not expected, even if it was known that it could happen, but it was an unlikely scenario for year 2020. The living in multiple locations is something that we do not know about yet. It is moderately likely. Yes, it could happen. We might want to live in multiple locations in the near future, but it is also quite near to unlikely. It is not so trendy yet. Work goes remote is very high in likeliness. But what will happen after these times? After we go back to normal, whatever normal is afterwards. And global warming, even if there's debate, it is very highly likely to happen. But we are also doing many things, trying to find solutions to prevent it. So these are the ways that you can use PESTEL analysis to see what all things are affecting our future, what might be happening, and how we can be prepared for them. So next we'll take a look at scenarios. Scenarios are something I really love making. Different kind of aspects of what the future will be like. For this training, I make an example of future of work. What kind of scenarios will we come up with? Two different variables. Firstly, human-based workforce versus AI or machine-based work. Will machines take our work? And then, if it's good economic time or low economic situation. Let's have a look. Factors. We can make a 2x2 table and see them better. Make 4 different scenarios out of them. The first one goes to good economics times and human-based workforce. That means there is probably work for all who want it. And the same situation, human-based workforce, but in low economic situation. It means there still is work, but not money to pay for it. How about in low economic situation and the times when machines take our work? No work, no money. It doesn't sound good. And what would the situation or scenario be if we have machine-based work and good economic times? One situation could be that we might have a basic income, that we can still live well even if we don't have work. So let's take a closer look to one of these. In the no work, no money scenario, we have easily at least 3 different aspects that we can come up with. First of all, there will be nothing to do. No work, so how will you spend your time? Secondly, people will live more and more in poverty. And thirdly, inequality will rise. There are still people having lots of money, loads of money. They have robots working in their factories and they will gain a lot, while others have nothing. It is easy to come up with conclusions that with this kind of scenario, there will be crime rates rising and also anxiety and agitation increasing in society. But that's not all truth. With scenarios, we have to understand that there are also other factors affecting that might be happening. How about if we have nothing to do and we still need money, we have to be innovative and come up with some kind of solutions. How will we make money? So it might mean also not only crime, it might mean that we have people coming up with new kind of fields of businesses and having something to do so that they can gain money. And that might mean that even if we are now in low economic situation, we might rise from there quite soon. And also, if people don't have money, they cannot take care of themselves enough, perhaps our society will come together and people will take better care of each other. So whatever your scenario is, there are assumptions that make it look bad, but there are also possibilities, always. As I said, with scenarios, we might have to take a look at even more variables than only two, if we want to really know what kind of possible futures there might be. You can choose the variables that are relevant to your situation, what you are seeking for. In our example, the economic situation was poor and people didn't have much work anymore. The little work that was made might be place related or maybe not so much. It might be that you lead your companies somewhere and it happens another place. Then there are other variables. How about amount of empathy? If we have lots of empathy, we are not feeling selfish. That might mean that we can come up with better future together. Innovativeness is another thing. With innovative ideas, we can come up with new solutions for the better world. And social connections are also important if we want to make in poor situations things look better. And these variables are something that you can put in many different places. You choose what kind of scenarios you make. You cannot do all. So you choose from 3 to 5 might be enough if they are relevant scenarios. And with these scenarios, you start to think, what can we do so that we can go towards our preferred scenario and avoid the unpreferred scenarios? And what can we do if some scenario becomes true? How are we prepared? So, the 1, 2, 3 of scenarios is, first of all, you choose your relevant variables and make those scenarios. Secondly, you come up with, if this scenario happens, then what will we do? How will we respond to this case? And thirdly, you follow up and react accordingly. You follow up the variables. What is happening in the world at the moment? How are they going? What is most likely the way where we are going at the moment? And then you do whatever you need to. Our third method of foresight is called Futures Wheel. This is all about what kind of influence could this trend, decision, event, problem or change have for us, for our companies or for others around us. What is great about the Futures Wheel is that it is a very simple tool. You have the decision or the trend or whatever you have, and then you come up with what are the primary consequences of that decision, what are the secondary consequences and tertiary consequences. This example is something that perhaps all of us have at least at some point been thinking of. Should I change my workplace? The primary consequences are about what will happen if we decide to do this. There is, first of all, the period of applications and interviews. The change means that also our workmates will change. There will be the new work itself, and also probably we could have better salary for us in the new work. And the secondary consequences come from these. With the application and interviews, it is stressful time and it takes time. And that means that also we have less time for other things. When our workmates change, that means also stressful times, but that we learn new things and people, as we do with our new work also. And because of this, it might increase our value as an employee and expand our networks. So this might mean a better career at some point. But the new work also might mean that we need to move. It might be located in another city or another country. What would that mean? First of all, we would have to find the new home and probably sell our old home. And we also need some kind of help for moving. But thank you for the increased salary, we may have better money to better home. And also, when it is possible again, we might have money to travel and do such kind of things. So this is a very simple example of how to use futures wheel. You come up with what kind of outcomes might come if you choose to do something, and is it still something you want to do? Have you been prepared for other aspects that come up with this kind of tools? Are you willing to move? Do you want to take the time and stress for the interviews? And is the salary and networks and all the new things the thing you want to do? Or is it about the work? Is it so intriguingly interesting that you really want to go there? This is to help you to make decisions, but there is also another aspect for these kind of tools. This is something that I, as a designer, am really interested of. We might find some kind of future needs inside this kind of tools. There is this learning new things and people when you are in a new workplace or in a new city. Could we come up with some kind of solutions for people to more easily become acquainted with new people inside the workplace or outside? What kind of services we could do, what kind of apps we could have, and other things. So what are the future needs we might find when we are using this kind of tools? That is something that I can use. So now we have gone through 3 different foresight methods. The PESTEL analysis was analyzing tool. With scenarios we could make variations of future, and the futures wheel was a decision tool. Well, so where is the future heading? There are too many variables, so we are unable to predict which future will come true. But as I promised, I will tell you where it is going. The future is heading to wherever our actions take it. There will be wildcards and there will be unexpected things affecting our future, but it is us who make decisions, act and make change. It is up to us to make the future as good as possible for all of us. You have a vision. There will be random events, but you take actions, and that way you create better future. The better world is in our hands, and It only takes one active citizen to change the world. Is it you? Thank you for your time.